It's the Real Estate Podcast, brought to you by ANZ Home Loans for financial well-beings.
There certainly is, and a lot of the people that have bought into those are first home buyers, so there has been a lot of delays with the Tonsley site. I think anybody that lives in Adelaide has had a friend or a family member, if not a few, that have been long awaiting the finality of their build, but they're all starting to come to fruition and have been doing so in the last 6 to 12 months.
And that is Emma Slape there in Adelaide on the Real Estate Breakfast. We'll get back to that conversation in just a moment. Welcome back into the Real Estate Breakfast as we connect you once again to the largest real estate property knowledge bank right across Australia. We're doing this 7 days a week and streaming right now on Spotify and Amazon. It is a Tuesday morning. It is nice to get Monday out of the way. We're kicking along into June. It is the 3rd today. And I see that from the ABC, new Shadow Housing Minister Andrew Bragg says the Liberal Party's past focus on urban sprawl was misguided. He believes the housing policy should target inner city, regional and outer suburb developments where infrastructure already exists, not just the fringe expansion. This has always been a double-edged sword. It's been a talking point for years. He backs incentives and penalties to push states into action, even suggesting GST cuts for underperformers. And he's also aiming to reduce red tape for small businesses and supports work from home flexibility as part of a broader economic reform. Have to say that less bureaucratic red tape is always a welcomed thing. Well, let's take you off to Adelaide and catch up with Emma Slape. She is the CEO of Turner Real Estate there. And good morning to you, Emma. Welcome back to the Real Estate Breakfast. We spoke over a year ago now, so how is the Adelaide market treating you?
Yeah, really well. Thanks for having me back. The Adelaide market's been an interesting one the last 12 months. We've certainly seen sustained growth still and stronger activities from the eastern states. So I'm looking forward to breaking that down a bit further for you today.
Yes, you said you've got the listings and sales year on year. So let's take a look at that. Step us through what's been happening.
Yeah, so from a sales perspective, we've seen that Adelaide's been pretty steady year on year with sales volume. Let's have a look at that first. We've had a slight increase in the number of listings, but when we look into state, we've seen a couple of cities have really been struggling to get that stock back on the market, and I think that's where Adelaide's really stood out. Ourselves in Perth have got an increase year on year on how many properties are on the market, where places like Sydney, Melbourne and Brisbane have really struggled with that housing stock. So I think that's helping the market bubble along a bit. Similarly, we're seeing the same with rental listings as well, is we're pretty consistent. We really haven't seen much of a change in the amount of stock that we're seeing on the market, but we are starting to see a bit of a trend of there being more supply and vacancy rates easing a little.
Let's have a look at the median house price right at the moment. That is around 847,000. Unit median price, 612,000. That is up year on year, 6.2%. Just having a look, there's a lot of those units that have sold in the last 12 months, 583 of them. Got a rental yield of 5.7. So, yeah, plenty of movement in those units, Emma.
We've really seen a change in who's buying those units over the last 5 years as well. I think before units were seen, not exclusively, but there was a really strong investor focus on those units, and we'd see units typically perhaps within 5 to 10 k's of the city being picked up as a great sort of first investment. What we're now also seeing is because of the price point, people are using that to move in, and that's actually their first home. So that's definitely increased the buyer pool in that unit market, and we're seeing more and more people kind of out of necessity using the unit as their first building block in the property market. It's still great to see them getting into the property market, but you can see the effect of affordability changing the demographic of who's buying there.
Yeah, so we're a little bit past now the RBA post-rate cut. What's been happening with those first home buyers? I think that's reasonably active.
We are definitely seeing really strong interest in the outer suburbs, and we have for some time for obvious reasons around affordability and also investors re-entering the market. But now that the federal election's over, there's definitely some positive news for first home buyers out of those policies. We're really seeing that market kick on. So it's not unusual to have 30 or 40 people through the first home open in a property, perhaps 25 or 30 Ks out of the city. That's around that $700,000 price mark.
Is it feeling like a little bit more of a balanced market in 2025 for you on the ground?
I think in the sales market, it's a little patchy. As I mentioned, those areas a bit further out where we've got the affordable price points, it's still really hard to get into the market. And you see the frustration and anguish of people that have made multiple offers and are getting a little sick of coming out every Saturday looking for homes. So that market is still really hot. When we start to get to the more elite market, over 2 million, we're definitely seeing people are a little bit more hesitant. I suppose there's so much going on with the economy. People are still nervous about Trump. So everyone from executives to business owners in that upper end are exercising a bit of caution because their urgency to move can often be delayed.
Yeah, we're all worried a little bit about Trump and what is going to evolve as the year goes on. Okay, we're talking to Emma there in Adelaide. When we come back, we're going to take a look at the rental market and a couple of suburbs that really do stand out. We'll talk about that after this.
We are more than just a real estate podcast. We cover a multitude of subjects, including property data, current buyer-seller sentiment, and the mood of the market. Follow each week all of the main talking points and know your property.
Well, Donald Trump is back at it again. The yo-yo effect of all of these tariffs. He says that the US steel tariffs are going to jump from 25% to 50%, claiming that it will protect American jobs. The move, though, in reality could push up prices on everything from housing to cars. Australia isn't immune among the impacted nations. What we are saying at the moment is that it's unjustified and harmful, but Australia won't retaliate, choosing instead to argue for fair trade. Good luck with arguing with Donald Trump for anything that is fair. Just look at Elon Musk. He got jettisoned from the White House after putting all those millions of dollars in. And we've known, haven't we, for years, that anyone who gets involved with Donald Trump normally ends up getting burnt, some with charcoal faces. But Musk, I don't think, is completely gone from the White House, I would speculate. Why? Because there are billions of dollars of government contracts that Musk is hoping to win. And if it's one thing we know about Trump, and that is he is a very, very transactional president.
Unlock the secrets of real estate and stay informed about the latest real estate buzz with hot market trends, emerging suburbs and hidden gems.
And it is a Real Estate Tuesday. With us is Emma Slape. She is there in Adelaide. And Emma, we're going to talk about a couple of suburbs that are really performing and standing out at the moment. So tell us what these two suburbs are.
Well, I think the main one that I'd like to focus on today is Tonsley, and that's been a development that has been underway in Adelaide for quite some time now. It's actually the old Mitsubishi Australia site, so it's been a long road to get the site repatriated and is now being built into a real precinct with a focus on housing. I think what we're seeing now is the end of that development phase, so a lot of properties are now coming to market for rent from investors, and people are really appreciating the location. It's less than 10 Ks from the city. It's really close to a university. The other university is just a bus ride away. You've got trams, you've got infrastructure, hospitals and jobs. So the bonus of being able to rent something at a relatively affordable price and be close to all that infrastructure is kind of rare in this market.
And what about those modern townhouse developments and apartment complexes? There's a bit going on in that space?
There certainly is, and a lot of the people that have bought into those are first home buyers, so there has been a lot of delays with the Tonsley site. I think anybody that lives in Adelaide has had a friend or a family member, if not a few, that have been long awaiting the finality of their build, but they're all starting to come to fruition and have been doing so in the last 6 to 12 months. There's also that real activity of a younger age demographic in general there as well, and you'll often find that they're nurses at Flinders Uni, or they're studying close by, or they're working in that precinct. So they love the ability of just being able to jump on a bus or a train, be close to the city, and the prices were quite affordable too, remembering that a lot of these were sold off the plan sort of 5 years ago or so.
Now, I want to pick your brain about one suburb that has quietly topped the rental yield charts, and this is Woodville Gardens. Know nothing about it, but reporting an impressive 5.63% yield for houses. Interestingly, even the experts weren't entirely sure why this is trending, though recent development may offer a bit of a clue.
Yeah, I'm definitely on the side of I think that there's probably not a lot of sales and rentals in that little data set to really qualify it being a trend. We are seeing that areas such as Woodville Gardens, still close enough to the city to really attract strong interest. But I can't say that individually that suburb is out of the norm. And I think if we look at it longer term, we'll probably find that it's an excellent performing suburb, just like the ones around it are as well.
All right, well, we'll leave it there. Emma, always nice to catch up with you, find out what is happening there in Adelaide. It's always been the darling on the podcast for the last few years, no question about that. The amount of times we are talking about Adelaide, all too many times probably, but it is a star performer and it looks set to continue. Hey, thanks for once again jumping on and giving us your take on the Adelaide market, and back onto the Real Estate Breakfast. Enjoy your Tuesday.
Always happy to be on.
We dive deep into topics like buying, selling, investing, and maximising your property's value, from mortgage advice to the latest property data and trending numbers. Your real estate journey starts here.
So we've always had this price premium. Efficiency commands a premium, and I think that premium has been proving remarkably resilient over time.
This can actually add, as your numbers suggest, up to 375 grand onto the price. You look at double glazing, you can get an extra 145,000, and solar 140 grand. I mean, this is major money.
It is, and I think some of those really high-performing features, such as double glazing, can really add a significant amount. And the difference between our different capital cities is truly quite eye-watering. Take Sydney as an example. So a house in Sydney that has double glazing sells for $495,000 higher than one that doesn't. And one that is north-facing in Sydney sells for a whopping $615,000 more.
Especially, you just mentioned the US design for US properties from top to 7 now. Obviously, it's because of tariff, because of this trade war, and make it really uncertain for the international buyers, particularly from China. But we're very lucky. So I think we're in a lucky country in Australia, and desire has gone up like a bananas. So we're doing really, really well. Again, it's always the same reason. It's just safe.
We connect you to the best real estate information across Australia. The Real Estate Podcast.